Hey everyone, and welcome to the Weekly WoW News. This is a show where I recap news from the previous week in World of Warcraft. I don't cover every single thing, but I do touch on the things that I think are worth mentioning or that I want to comment on. Keep in mind that at the end of the stream or the video here, I'm going to be answering any questions from the chat if there are any. And before we get started today, I wanted to go ahead and make a real quick announcement concerning the news. I'm going to be changing the time for the news stream, just moving it back a half hour. So instead of 7:30 p.m. Central, it's going to be at 8 p.m. Central. Might not seem like a big deal, but I had some things in my work schedule change, and my wife and I are cooking dinner and stuff, and it's kind of coming down to the wire between being done and on time for the newscast, or versus being a couple minutes late. So I'm just going to push everything back by a half hour. That's going to start next week. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the news. Now, this is an exciting week because BlizzCon is coming up on Friday, and I'm sure, others, much like myself, are very excited about, what's going to be happening, what the announcements are going to be at BlizzCon. But kind of anticlimactic. There's not really a whole lot of news this week. We've got some stuff to look at from the PTR, new models and things like that. Just a couple discussion topics, but they're not anything in depth like what we've been talking about in previous weeks. So let's go ahead and kick things off with our regular old weekly news announcements. So we got some good stuff this week. So first off, as far as new events go, you still have, I think, another day or two for the Halloween event. Go, do your Headless Horseman runs and, try to get the mount and, the other different items you can get from that. The world boss this week is Azarathos? Azarathos? I don't know. Either way, it's a big bird thing out in Cold Tiris, and so go out and do that. You've got that once per week. I want to remind everyone, if you have alts sitting around that are level 110 or higher, and you've already unlocked Island Expeditions on your characters, your weekly Island Expedition quest is going to be up, and if you do that, then you get about 30% of a level for doing that. So I recommend you at least log into your alts long enough to do that one Island Expedition every single week. This week, our event is a dungeon event, so this is pretty exciting. The final boss of each Battle for Azeroth dungeon is going to award an extra item when defeated. That's guaranteed. So this is a great week to run dungeons and try to get some extra gear. So you can get the weekly bonus event quest from the Adventure Journal. And yeah, that's pretty good stuff. Also get a nice big Azerite fragment, so that's nice as well. And then for Island Expeditions, we have Tol'vir Invasions. I still didn't see any Black Dragons at all when I did Island Expeditions last week, so who knows? We'll see what happens this week. I don't know if, the chance for them to occur is lower on lower difficulties or what, but this week it's supposed to be Tol'vir Invasions. So next up, there was an emissary hotfix that went live last week. They have increased the rewards from doing the emissaries. So prior to this, you would get 700 gold for doing an emissary, as well as a total of 1,000 artifact power. They have since buffed that so that now you get an extra 400 Azerite power, artifact power, and you get 2,000 gold instead of 700. So pretty hefty increase to the gold reward for doing emissaries. So if you were maybe ignoring emissaries because you didn't feel like they were really worth it, maybe, your gear level, your item level is higher than what they can give, or you're exalted with the factions already, or whatever, they've tried to make these a little bit more appealing, a little more lucrative to do. So this is officially in the game. Now, every time that you do an emissary, you're going to get 2,000 gold and a total of 1,400 Azerite experience or power. Next up, a double agent, who is someone who has been leveling a Pandaren since, Mist of Pandaria, has reached level 120, and this is significant because he's done it without joining the Horde or the Alliance. So he's a neutral faction Pandaren who is at max level. He basically does this by taking the mining and herbalism professions and then just mining stuff in collecting herbs, and he uses the experience from that to get himself to max level. This was kind of made a little bit easier, by the fact that there's some scaling going on, but it's still a grind, still takes a lot of dedication to a task. I know some people would say, no life, oh, that's sad, whatever. I just see this as, somebody set a goal for themselves, and they're doing what they have to do to make it happen. So, yeah, interesting piece of World of Warcraft news. We've always got people that are doing interesting things like soloing content and everything else, and this is just another one of those. Next up, we got a blog post from Blizzard telling us to set our expectations for World of Warcraft. They seem to be putting out a lot of these posts like, hey, everybody, manage your expectations. This is what you can, expect to see at BlizzCon. It's kind of the opposite, I think, for World of Warcraft. A lot of the other games have been coming out and saying, hey, simmer down. But, I take this as a little bit more interesting for World of Warcraft because essentially what they have said is, we know everybody's excited about 8.1, Tides of Vengeance. It's coming down the pipeline. It's our number one priority, but we're not really going to talk about it at BlizzCon. And I see that as a good thing because they have said that, at BlizzCon, you'll be hearing us mainly talk about what comes after Tides of Vengeance. Now, I'm personally, after seeing everything that's happened with 8.1, I definitely have a more positive outlook on Battle for Azeroth in general, but I do still have a lot of hang-ups with things, the way things are being done, and there's still some stuff in there, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what type of stuff is going to come after 8.1, because that's kind of going to help me judge, is this going to be, is Tides of Vengeance going to be good enough to hold me over till the next thing? Or is Tides of Vengeance just kind of, a filler thing into another filler thing into another filler thing? So I'll be interested to see what's going on there. I am going to do a video and get it out before BlizzCon with my predictions of what I think is going to be announced at BlizzCon, and that's going to include what I think is going to go on in World of Warcraft and what we might see after patch 8.1. I'm primarily interested in the mechanical and gameplay things that they're going to do. I know they're going to do something interesting story-wise, that's fine, but I want to know, what are they going to do to keep us engaged and playing the game and doing things that are different than what we've been doing, since the expansion came out. Like, what's going to change things up? Is there going to be something like the Mage Towers or, a new landmass to explore, that kind of stuff. So I'll get into that in that other video, but just know that for BlizzCon, we're definitely going to get some details about things that are coming after Tides of Vengeance. And then finally, in the generic WoW news for the week, there is a BlizzCon World of Warcraft question and answer session that is going to be held on November 3rd. You're able to go to a forum post out on the official Battle.net World of Warcraft forums, and you could submit questions for the Q&A. Doesn't mean that your question's going to get answered, but you're able to go off and do this. So if you're in Wowhead, you can go to the post here. It says submit your questions for the BlizzCon 2018 Warcraft Q&A. And then that's going to have a link right here, forum post in this link, because it's not Wowhead, it's through the official forums. But you can go there and post your various questions in the hopes that maybe one of the developers will answer that question during this Q&A on Saturday. All right, moving into the PTR stuff. As always, my reminder disclaimer, I'm not going to spoil anything related to the story of 8.1 unless it's without context because we're looking at a model or something like that. My intention is to keep everything fresh and new for both you and myself. I fail a little bit on the latter, but that's okay. So mostly we're just going to be looking at gameplay things and models and stuff like that. So first up, there was an update to the Kol Tiran Heritage Armor. We took a look at this a little while back, and we had a couple of kind of concerns about it. One was it didn't have the big collar. We've got that now. That's pretty sweet. I like that. This definitely looks more like a nice trench coat. So I think that overall, most people are going to be pleased with this. The arms, the gloves here, before they just kind of tapered off into nothing, and we were, wondering, well, are they going to give us the really big cuffs that, we see in the various models of the Coltyrans around Borealis and things like that? And I speculated that they probably wouldn't because it's such a weird departure from the way gloves normally look most of the time, and they didn't give them to us. But we do have these like bigger, beefier gloves that kind of have this like wooden, ship sort of look to them, and I think they look decent. You can see that they're the same kind of texture that's underneath on the shoulders here, but the thing about that is it's hard to see that texture beneath all the ropes on the shoulders, and so to me it kind of looks like these are just it looks like these gloves are from a different transmog set or something like that. They look a little bit off. I think I definitely like them better than what we saw before, and they're still a cool pair of gloves. Overall, I think the transmog looks pretty solid. The gloves just seem slightly out of place. Who knows, that may get another update or a change before the actual 8.1 PTR comes out, or 8.1 patch comes out, and honestly, there's even more time after that because they've already said that we won't be getting the Coltyrans and Zandalari in patch 8.1 anyway, so yeah, I don't know. Definitely like it better than the other one. And here's the model on the females as well. I think it looks a little bit better on the females because the arms aren't as thick. If you look at the males, they just kind of like all blend into one big massive tree trunk arm. There's a little more definition between the gloves and the arms on the females, so I think it does look a little bit better there. So all right, next up we have some transmogs from one of the encounters in the new raid that's coming out. We're just going to take a quick look at these. We've got these new crowns. I think these look pretty cool. I don't know if I use them as a transmog, but they look like, I don't know, I really like them. So we got a kind of, this is like a Nazoth colored one to me. Then we kind of got, your traditional gold with some, rubies and sapphires. A nice pink one here. That'll go good on your royal paladins, right? And then, I don't know, that one's just generically blue and silver. Not quite as interesting. Then we've got a mace here that is actually full of gold coins. And then we have a pretty sweet looking dagger. So these are all from a boss who's, the theme of the boss is treasure. And that's, as far as I'll go there. But yeah, if you are a hunter, and even if you're not, you're going to have to be dealing with this anyway. There's some exciting news for you coming in 8.1, and that is Blood Feasters, which are the creepy, weird spider leech things that fly. Why do they fly? Are now going to be tameable hunter pets. So you're going to be fighting alongside your friendly hunter and their disgusting tick creature. Oh, and also, Krogs are going to be tameable hunter pets as well. These are the weird sort of flea, like giant dino flea type creatures that are all over Nazmir on the Horde side of things. So yeah, two brand new types of pets. And what they have said is that right here, Blood Feasters are also tameable. That's these guys, the flying tick dudes. The family ability is a unique ranged snare where they vomit blood. So I don't know. They're getting pretty intense with this expansion and all the crazy, stuff. That doesn't seem very like teen rated. Maybe it is, but yeah. So tameable Blood Feasters and Krogs. I think that's pretty interesting. They're creepy. I think I'll probably still get one on my hunter. I'm not going to lie. And then finally, for the models for 8.1, we have a ton of new mounts and stuff that are coming from various sources. So we've got the new Stonehide Elderhorn. This is from Island Expeditions. It's a moose, right? It's a moose. Then we found out that the Priestess Moonsaber is actually going to be I believe it's a vendor mount. I think you are able to earn currency with the 7th Legion on the Alliance side, and then you can spend that currency to get the Priestess Moonsaber. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that is the case. It does come from a vendor for sure, and it does cost a certain amount of currency. Right now it says currency not found, but I'm pretty sure I read that was the 7th Legion. And then on the Horde side, or it may be these. Either way, I believe this is from a currency, and then these Scorpions are also from a currency. So there's one for the Horde, and then there's a Scorpion for the Alliance as well. And they are appropriately faction colored. So those are coming from vendors. We got the new Island Expedition Moose. If we keep on going, we've got another Island Expedition mount here, the Island Thunder Scale. This is a pretty cool looking mount, I think. It depends on what kind of effects it has going on. Like, it looks like it might have like lightning going in between the different parts of its wings. If so, that's going to be pretty cool. I'm a big fan of the Lightning Drake that you can get from Throne of Thunder. So I like these kind of things. I think they make really good mounts for Shaman. Shaman players. We've got a Blood Gorged Hunter. So this looks a lot like the mount that you can get from Arathi. This is from Island Expeditions as well as the Bloodthirsty Dreadwing. I'm not sure if they're going to have different models. They look the same right now, but I imagine that they would be either different or... Oh, this one is a vendor mount. Here we go. So this is the... Yep. Okay, so the Priestess, this is the vendor mount for Alliance. You can see it costs 1,000, and then the Bloodthirsty Dreadwing is the Horde one. It costs 1,000 as well, which makes me think that chances are these models are off, because I don't imagine they would have the same model that you purchase for this large amount of currency available as a random drop from an Island Expedition. So I think one of these is probably going to get an update. And then we have the Saltwater Seahorse. So there's a new vendor coming in. We're going to talk about this later, who's going to have Seafarer's Doubloons as a currency, and the Seahorse is one of the mounts that you can get from that. There is a drop. This is a pretty cool new mount that you can get from the new raid. Like, I think this is one of the most like unique and interesting mounts they've come out with in a long time. It's obviously, kind of like the light forged, mech model, but it's been heavily modified, and it's not just a recolor. I like the creepy Gallowix face on the shield here. I think overall it looks pretty good. It's like the goblin machines that you use in some of the quests when you're in Nazmir as well. And then we do have the Reigns of the Armored Sky Terror, and this is the mount that you get from the Glory of the Dazar Lord Raider. So this would be the raid achievement mount, one of the raid achievement mounts for this expansion. So lots and lots of new mount models. I'm imagining that we're going to see more and more as we find out what else is going to drop from the new Warfront zone in Darkshore as well. All right, some generic Blizzard news. BlizzCon charity auction starts November 1st. If you've got a lot of money and you want to support charity, there are a lot of different Blizzard items up for sale. So we've got some different Overwatch figures. We've got this really interesting Anduin's helm. It looks like maybe you can actually wear this. I don't know. I don't know how big the head model is that they have on here, but it's pretty cool. It's the nice lion mask that you see in the BFA cinematic trailer. For Hearthstone, there's a Boombot sculpture. I really like this Diablo picture here. This is from a new Diablo book that's going to be coming out, the Diablo Bestiary. And this is signed by everyone. It's Leah and Diablo. There's a nice Kerrigan sketch from StarCraft. And then something from Heroes of the Storm. I'm just kidding. That's kind of what it feels like. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but yeah, there's this is a piece of artwork that was put out for one of the promotional Heroes of the Storm events as well. I imagine there are more things at the actual auction house site itself, but I don't have that kind of money, so I haven't checked that out too much myself. So just want to let you guys know in case you did want to go and maybe try to get yourself something, or just go look at all the cool stuff that's going to be up for auction. Next up, Blink Shopping is now live for BlizzCon attendees. There's all kinds of new products that are available for purchase. Some new shirts, some beads and bracelets. We got the nice ugly holiday sweaters. I'm probably gonna have to get one of those for the holidays. Those are pretty nice. So yeah, new stuff in the shop. The WoW Classic BlizzCon demo is available for pre-download. This is from several days ago. If you are a virtual ticket holder and you want to download the BlizzCon demo, open your launcher, click on World of Warcraft, and on the drop down where you can select your account right above the play button, you should be able to see an option to download. I believe it says, here, I'm going to just double check it for you. It'll say BlizzCon demo, WoW 1 US, WoW Classic, WoW 2 US, WoW Classic. That's if you're in the US. Obviously, if you're in a different region, it's going to have a different region option there. But it looks like they're putting up 2 servers for the demo. And if you download one, it downloads for both. So you don't have to worry about, which one do I download. Just pick one of them, download it, install it, and that'll be ready to go for you as well. So pretty nice. I know they definitely wanted to do that so that they don't have, thousands of people trying to download this demo all at once on November 2nd. And then finally here, Classic Patch 1.13 demo build. There's a settings and interface preview. I'm not going to get into this too much, but I did want to mention a couple of things here. Really what I just wanted to show off was this is the old sort of character pane from Vanilla, and I think this is around in BC as well. And you can see a couple of noticeable difference. One, you have all your elemental resistances right here because that was pretty important back in Vanilla. And you also are going to see, like, here's your main hand, offhand, and there's this other slot here because some classes had relics and other things that you could put into this slot. So that's going to be pretty interesting to see that pop back up again. You can go in here, though, and you can look at some of the other settings, and we've got keybinds and all kinds of other stuff that really isn't interesting for a news video, but I want to let you know you can check this post out and look at that if you like. All right, finally, we're almost done. We're getting into the discussion topics. So the first thing is on the PTR, we've got to look at some tank changes so far. Now, the first thing I want to say is that I'm not trying to give an evaluation on the classes based on stuff coming from the PTR that may or may not change. I just wanted to look overall at what kind of direction they're going in and, say whether or not I think it's going to make that big of a difference. So currently the standing for tanks is Blood DKs and Brewmaster Monks are at the top. Warriors, Prot Warriors, and Guardian Druids are at the bottom, and somewhere in the middle is your Protection Paladins and your Vengeance Demon Hunters, with a pretty huge leap for Blood DKs at the top, and a pretty hard drop-off for Protection Warriors at the very bottom. So what they're looking to do is essentially bring the tanks in line with each other, which means Protection Warrior gets buffs, Blood DK gets nerfs. So first off, with the Guardian Druid, we've got a damage increase. That's going to help them maintain threat. And then we've got a couple of different things here. Stampeding Roar cooldown reduced to 1 minute from 2 minutes. That's going to give them a little bit more utility. Hopefully that'll make them more attractive to bring along to dungeons and raids. And also they're shifting around one of the talents and making it available at a lower talent level. Blood DK, this one is one of the big ones, I think. Veteran of the Third War, which is the talent that makes them a tank. It's the one that gives them stamina and bonus armor. Pretty much every tank spec has a passive spell. I said talent, I meant spell. Has a passive spell that does this. it's no longer going to give a 15% armor increase, which means that baseline blood DKs are going to be pretty dang squishy compared to other tanks. However, they're rolling that into Bone Shield, which is a primary buff that you need to have up when you are tanking on a blood DK, and they're going to make that increase armor by an additional 10% of your strength. So there's a table, we'll see it a little bit down here after we get past some of these other changes that are happening that will show the differences between live and what's going on in the PTR. But effectively what this means is that you absolutely have to have Bone Shield up if you're tanking on a blood DK, and based on the table below, if you do, you'll be roughly at the same level you are now, possibly a little bit weaker, but like I said, there's a pretty huge jump in the effectiveness of tanks from blood DK at the top to the next one down, which is Brewmaster Monk. There's some other changes here. Bone Storm now heals for a maximum of 15% every second. Will in the Necropolis will trigger below 30% health instead of 35%. I don't think that's as big of enough change to really make a difference there. I think the one that really hurts is Veteran of the Third War. If you are not already in the habit of making sure you constantly have Bone Shield stacks at all times. No changes to Vengeance Demon Hunter yet. Brewmaster, there's a couple of nerfs going on here. Stagger now staggers 3.5% less damage baseline compared to live. Iron Skin Brew, which lets you stagger more damage, adds an additional 2% stagger. And basically the TLDR here, Brewmasters will be staggering about 1.5% less damage with Iron Skin Brew up, and stagger about 3.5% less damage baseline. So it is an overall kind of a nerf. Doesn't seem like too big of a nerf, and it's not a mechanical nerf, so it's not changing the way that you play the game necessarily. A little minor change to Protection Paladin here, and then for Protection Warrior, they've taken Ignore Pain off the GCD, but given it a 0.5 second cooldown, which means that you can now slam Ignore Pain whenever you need to, so this is going to make it a much more reactionary style ability than what it currently is. Shield Block has a 16 second cooldown, down from 18 seconds, and then Vanguard, which is the tanking talent for the Warriors, will now increase your stamina by 45%, up from 40, and your armor gained by 55%, up from 50. So if we take a look at the different values here, the Brewmaster Stagger live, it's going down by about 3%, and with Iron Skin Brew, it's going down by 1.5% or so. On Blood Death Knight, your armor right now is going to be going down by roughly 3.5% compared to live, just baseline. With Bone Shield, it does go up, and overall, or the Bone Shield armor value is up, and then overall, it's roughly about the same. You can see there's about like a 0.1% difference here. So overall, I know that was a lot to take in, especially if you don't tank and you don't care about it. But overall, I think that what's being done so far is kind of interesting, but not big enough to really make that much of a difference. Like, I personally am having the most fun playing Protection Warrior, and I don't necessarily feel like any of these make a big enough difference. I mean, it's nice to get a buff in general. Like, it's always nice to get a buff. But I don't feel like these are going to do anything to change the overall perception of the tanks. But we'll have to see, right? 8.1's not out. They're definitely not done tweaking this stuff. So we'll see what else they decide to do, if anything. And then next up, we've got the currency vendors that I was talking about before. We've got a Warfront's currency vendor that's in the PTR right now for 7th Legion and Honorbound. For both of these, you're able to get a cloak. The Alliance gets a blue one, and the Horde gets a red one. There's an upgraded version of the cloak as well. And then you're also able to get, here's the blue Scorpion for the Alliance that we saw earlier, along with the red Scorpion here. And then we've got a pet for both of them, Trekker's Cage. And then for the Alliance, 1,000 of the currency will get you the Nightsaber here. And then for the Horde, you'll get the Bat. Also, along with that, you're going to be able to get the... Where'd it go? The Signet for Battle. It's a ring with stamina, crit, and haste, and it would teleport you to... In this case, for the Horde, it teleports you to Dazara Lore, and for the Alliance, it teleports you to Borealis. So there's a teleportation ring coming in along with this. So you're going to be able to get this currency. We don't quite know exactly how or what the rate is going to be yet. We just know that they're implementing a currency system so that you can actually get some rewards from doing Warfronts. Now, I just did a stream with Warfronts yesterday. I still think they're fairly boring and uninteresting, and I don't think that adding a currency in here is going to make me want to farm any of this stuff or do Warfronts over and over again, unless it's at a pretty good consistency or a pretty good rate. So right now, if you've got a good team for a Warfront and everybody kind of knows what they're doing and they're sort of coordinated, it probably takes 15 to 25 minutes. If you've got a slow team or people are just kind of meandering all over the place, it can take 25 to 45 minutes, maybe even longer. That's a lot of time to invest if, say you're going to get like 5 of the currency when you're done and you're trying to get 1,000, to get. It's a pretty cool amount. I mean, it is a pretty cool amount, but if you look at the time investment versus the reward, I just don't know that it's enough to make Warfronts super interesting. Maybe the Dark Shore one will be a little bit better than the Arathi one. I'm not sure. Based on what I've seen on the 8.1 PTR, it looks pretty much the same as the Arathi one, just with some different skins. So we'll see. And then we also got the Seafarer's Doubloon cosmetic vendors as well. So these are going to be a currency that you earn. You can already earn some of these, but you're going to be able to exchange your Seafarer's Doubloons for cosmetic items. Now, this is something I think is very good. Currently, if you get the Seafarer's Doubloons, there's a little vendor on your ship, and you could buy these sort of one-off items that will do a lot of damage to all targets in the line in front of you, or something like that, which I think just really aren't worth it. So I haven't been spending my doubloons on those, and there's nothing else that you've been able to do with them. So now they're adding a vendor that you could spend them at. And there's going to be a lot of cosmetic items that you can purchase from here. So, for example, you can get yourself, like a transmog pirate hat, though you can already get a pirate hat like this from a world quest. So I don't know if I'd, be spending it. Maybe you want that particular color, but there's some battle pets. I mean, look at that octopus, right? I would totally spend my Seafarer's doubloons to get that super cool octopus. There's going to be some toys as well. And then there's, the seahorse mount as well. So lots of interesting stuff. I am particularly excited about this vendor in particular, because island expeditions are a good way to level up your alts, and as you level up your alts in the process, you're going to get these Seafarer's doubloons. They drop pretty regularly in small quantities, but that's still enough for you to get enough to, maybe get 1 or 2 of these rewards during the time that you're leveling a character from 110 to 120. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm much more excited about this than I am about the Warfront vendors, because I just feel like at the core, island expeditions are a little bit more of a fun feature than Warfronts are. That's it for the stream. That's all the news that we have. Like I said, no big discussion posts. We just got Blizzcon on Friday. So before I go, let me remind you that I'm going to be changing the time for the news stream from 7:30 p.m. Central on Tuesdays to 8 p.m. Central on Tuesdays. Also, this Friday, coming up at 12:30 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to be getting online and watching the opening ceremony for BlizzCon here on the channel. I'd like to invite all of you to come out and hang out with me and chat and talk about the announcements and everything like that. Following that up later in the evening at around 8 p.m. Central, I'll be coming back online and doing a stream of the WoW Classic demo as well. I'm going to hold off on putting up the themes and everything for the different streams for next week until after we get all the big announcements at BlizzCon, because who knows what's going to happen there. Maybe we'll have something interesting to play on Friday or maybe on Monday or something like that. So if that's the case, I want to, have the option to be able to do that. So let me jump in and check on the Q&A. Let's see. I'm just happy that I managed to catch one of your streams at all. It's tough if you're from Europe with the time zones. Okay, yeah. I definitely agree. I definitely want to get a stream going for the people in Europe. I've got a lot of people from Europe. The majority of my viewership comes from the US, but I have a lot of people in Europe that watch as well, and you're also very active in the comments and in the chats, and I greatly appreciate that. And believe me, it is 100%, something I'm working on, trying to find a time to get a stream in that's convenient for you on the other side of the world from me to be able to watch. So that'll be happening here pretty soon. Also, one other thing to mention, a couple things here. There should be a video coming out tomorrow and Thursday. One of them will be my thoughts on Classic WoW prior to playing the demo. The other will be my predictions for BlizzCon. The channel did hit 500 subscribers. I'm super excited about that. I don't want to spend too much time here just saying how happy I am and how thankful I am. I'm going to do that on the next monthly channel update video, which will be coming out next week. It should come out this week because we're at the end of October, but with BlizzCon going on, I'm going to put it off until next week. And that is also where I'm going to detail the next giveaway. So I said I'd be doing another channel giveaway at 500 subscribers as a thank you to you guys. I'm going to have all the details for that stuff coming in the channel update video, monthly channel update next week. So thanks for tuning into the stream. I hope you're having a good time in World of Warcraft. Hope you're excited about BlizzCon. Go ahead and post below, what you are excited about or, anything like that. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And I'll see you pretty soon. See you on Friday. All right. Good night.